What's up, everybody? Welcome back to FFT. I'm Trevor, and today we're talking about my top 3 quarterback values. Let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to jump into all 3 of these quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about their average draft position, their ADP. I'm going to talk about a few stats, the points that they provided for teams. And then I'm going to compare all of these quarterbacks to Patrick Mahomes and see kind of where they land and then give you my overall consensus of the player. But let's go ahead and start with Jalen Hurts. His ADP is 23.8, so that means he's going about the end of the second round. That's pretty early, all right? I'm generally not one to take a quarterback that early in a draft. I rarely do, and I really don't recommend it either. But if I am taking a quarterback early, this is the guy I'm shooting for. Jalen Hurts is incredible. All right, let's talk his age. He's only 25 years old, all right? To put that into context, I think Patrick Mahomes is 27. Patrick Mahomes is 2 years older. Jalen Hurts is just getting rolling. He's going into his 4th year in the NFL. He's still a baby when it comes to quarterbacks, all right? Let's talk about some quick stats about this guy. Over the 3 years, so the 3 years that we have data, so I'm going to go through year 1, year 2, and year 3 on each of these stats. His completion percentage, year 1, was 52. Then it jumped all the way up to 61 year 2. And then it jumped all the way to 67 in year 3. 67% completion percentage. That's as good, if not a little better, than Patrick Mahomes. That is an incredible completion percentage and something that you should not be taking lightly when it comes to his ability. I know we all think about him as a running quarterback, but his passing and the amount that his success rate when it comes to passing is incredible. Compared to Patrick Mahomes, excellent. All right, yards, year 1. 1,061. Not great. Year 2, 3,144. And then year 3, 3,701. And he missed 2 games. All right? He missed 2 full games last year. Passing touchdowns. 6 his first year. 16 his second year. 22 this last year. This guy, his trajectory is like this. I'm telling you, if you want a quarterback, you don't want to have to spend as early as Patrick Mahomes. You're still spending pretty early. But you can get a guarantee diamond out of Jalen Hurts if you're drafting him at the end of the second round. Let's talk about rushing touchdowns. Now, this is why Jalen Hurts is killing it, is because of his rushing touchdowns. Year 1, 3 touchdowns. Year 2, 10 touchdowns. Year 3, 13 touchdowns. This guy is flying, all right? Interceptions. Year 1, 4. Year 2, 9. Not so great. And year 3, 6. Again, that's very comparable to Patrick Mahomes. This guy's on fire, and he has something to prove. Losing in the Super Bowl, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to make some magic happen. Let's talk about points. He was 3rd overall in points last year. If we're talking half PPR, he was 3rd overall. I think he has the opportunity this year to be 1st or 2nd overall, and you're getting him at a discount. You're not paying the Patrick Mahomes price to get him. Also, he outscored his projection. So he outscored his projection, at least on Sleeper he did. That's the platform I use. He outscored it 10 out of the 15 games that he played in. He proved everyone wrong 10 out of the 15 times that he played. And also, if you exclude his last game against the Giants, he actually averaged 26 points per game last year. I know his Giants game, his last game, though, he got like 8 points or something like that. A little bit of an outlier. He's coming back off of missing 2 weeks. Averaging 26 games, guys. You can't do better than that. That's incredible. All right. Let's do a little bit of Mahomes comparison. All right. So he actually has more rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. So compare his rushing yards. Let's see, 358 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, 4 rushing touchdowns, to 760 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. This is where, so he's double the rushing yards compared to Patrick Mahomes, and he's more than triple the rushing touchdowns compared to Patrick Mahomes. That's where all of his points come from, and there's not a quarterback that does it better. Maybe Justin Fields, if you want the Jalen Hurts light version, you could go with that, I guess, but no one does it better. Less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes, easy. I think he had on average over the last 3 years, like 2 or 3 less interceptions per year. He has the same completion percentage, if not a little better than Patrick Mahomes. He's younger than Patrick Mahomes. Like I said, Patrick is 27. Jalen Hurts is 25. And you're saving on ADP, all right? So let's see. I think Patrick Mahomes goes early second. So you're talking like 203, sometimes earlier, sometimes into the first round. Whereas Jalen Hurts, you're talking into the second round, maybe beginning of the third round. So you're almost saving a full round on Jalen Hurts if you go that route. And like I said, he's got a chip on his shoulder compared to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, if you guys watch a quarterback show on Netflix, he's kind of this like cocky sort of guy. We all know the guy that we played with in high school that had that sort of attitude. You want him to be confident. You don't want him to be cocky. I think Patrick Mahomes takes it to that cocky level. Jalen Hurts knows what he has, though. He's a confident guy, and he shows up and shows out. Let's see. So like I said, if I'm getting a quarterback early, which again I normally don't, I'm going Jalen Hurts. As a running quarterback, though, let's talk downsides really quick. These are maybe a couple things to consider when picking him up. As a running quarterback, his chances of getting hurt are a lot higher than like a pocket passer quarterback type like Patrick Mahomes or like Trevor Lawrence or somebody like that. He has a higher chance of getting hurt, so keep that in mind. Also, his years where he's going to have reliable points, reliable, huge ceilings, is going to be shorter. That amount of time, that timeline is going to be shorter because of how many points he gets on the ground. Compared to other like pocket passers that last, you look at Aaron Rodgers, you look at Tom Brady, you look at all these guys that are old, they're still doing it. It's because they're relying on their arm, not their legs. Jalen Hurts has to rely on his legs a little bit in order to provide you fantasy points. But I still think he has 3, 4, maybe 5 years left when it comes to his incredible kind of upside when it comes to the ground game. So take all that with a grain of salt. But Jalen Hurts, number 1. All right. Let's talk number 2. Number 2, Trevor Lawrence. Boom. We're looking at a 60.7 ADP, so that puts him at the early 6th round, so it's like the 601, but early in the 6th round. I generally don't like taking quarterbacks in the early round, right? So Trevor Lawrence is a guy that I like looking at later. So when we're looking at the 6th round, that's about when I start looking at quality quarterbacks, especially in a superflex. I know superflex go a lot, or players go a lot earlier in superflex, but Trevor Lawrence is one that maybe you can get a steal on. Okay, so 23. He's younger than Jalen Hurts. He's younger than Patrick Mahomes. And this is only his 3rd year in the NFL. He had that stupid Urban Meyer year. We're going to exclude that, right? We don't even want to include that in our stats and our projections for this next year because that's like an outlier. We know he can do better. Urban Meyer put chains on this guy's legs and held him down. We all know that. We're all aware. Urban Meyer, go back to college. So let's talk the 2 years that he's had, though, okay? So year 1 compared to year 2. Year 1, completion percentage, just over 59%. Year 2, almost a 10% increase. We're looking at 66.3% completion percentage. Yards, year 1, 3,641. These are air yards, passing yards. Year 2, 4,113, all right? So we gained about 500 yards through the air from year 1 to year 2. Passing touchdowns from 12 to 25. 25 passing touchdowns for this guy in year 2. Then rushing touchdowns, year 1, 2, year 1, 2, year 2, 5 rushing touchdowns. So he's got game when it comes to red zone. Interceptions, first year had 17 interceptions. He brought that all the way down to 8 year 2. All right, we want to continue to see that trend down, but 8 isn't bad year 2. He's projecting, or his trajectory is good when it comes to that. Points. He was 8th overall when it comes to half PPR leagues last year, which is phenomenal. At where you can get him, it's great. From weeks 9 through 16, he averaged 22.3 fantasy points per game. So we're not talking Patrick Mahomes level. We're not talking Jalen Hurts level. We obviously you're paying for what you get, but I think this guy is a steal at where you can get him. He's trending in the right direction, and he's only going to get better. Just like Jalen Hurts, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, but Trevor Lawrence is even younger. So he's got more years to grow and learn and build and have his team kind of come around him and expand that knowledge and that skill. I think he's just going up from here. Let's talk about the Mahomes comparison now. All right. His completion percentage is as good as Patrick Mahomes. What was it? Let's look. 66.3. I think Patrick Mahomes is like 66.5. So his completion percentage last year, just as good as Mahomes. Similar attempts compared to Mahomes. So Mahomes had 648. Trevor Lawrence had 584. So when we're talking about attempts in the passing game, very similar. And with their completion percentage, similar as well. We're looking at a lot of completions and a lot of great yards. With the addition of Calvin Ridley, too, looking good. He also has less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has 12. I just looked this up. Trevor Lawrence had 8 last year. Okay, so 4 less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes with similar amount of attempts. I'm liking the way this guy's trending for sure. He's younger, similar stats with the ability to draft 4 rounds later. Don't worry. See, this is what I'm talking about. Get your Christian McCaffreys, get your Bijan Robinson, get your Garrett Wilsons, get your Jahmyr Gibbs, get your Austin Eckler's, get all those guys. Worry about quarterback later. Get yourself a Trevor Lawrence in the 6th round. Why not? Why not? It's totally worth it to wait on these guys. Superflex, again, is a different story. But if we're talking normal, half PPR, like keeper redraft leagues, no, like 1 QB leagues. So overall, okay, this guy has shown that he's capable of improving. Obviously, from year 1 to year 2, huge gap, huge leap. I'm liking it. Urban Meyer was a disease in the NFL, especially to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So to see that leap, let's see it continue to trend year 3. I'm excited to see what happens. So you can throw that year out. The addition of Calvin Ridley, loving it. I think Calvin Ridley's gonna light it up this year. I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people. And then as a young passing quarterback, like I was talking about with Jalen Hurts, he has this ground game he has to worry about, and that's where he's reliable. Trevor Lawrence does it through the air. And because he's young and he's a pocket passer, the majority of the time, he has lots of years left. We're talking 8+. Like if this guy stays healthy, we're talking 8+ years of value. So take a look at Trevor Lawrence. He might be worth your pick this year. Let's talk about number 3. All right. This is a guy we kind of went down ADP on the list. This is a guy that I think has a ton of potential. We saw it last year. We'll see it again this year. He's only going to get better, and it's none other than Brock Purdy. That's right. San Francisco 49ers. This guy, like if you want to roll the dice on somebody in a late round, this is the guy we're talking about, all right? This is the guy you need to look at, the guy you need to consider. His ADP is 178.4, all right? So we're looking at the end of the 15th round. You can get Brock Purdy in half PPR, single quarterback leagues. Wowzers, right? If you want to ignore quarterbacks until the end of your draft, take a look at Brock Purdy, all right? He's only 23 years old. He's going into the 2nd year in the NFL. Young guy. He's a stud. He obviously showed what he can do last year, and he's just going to get better. The team was not built around him last year. He had to kind of pick it up when it was in shambles, and now they're flying. They got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. They got Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. Everyone's healthy. They're looking good, all right? So let's talk about some quick stats. Year 1, and he's only had this 1 year, and only 9 games, by the way. Okay, so we only have 9 games to work with. His completion percentage was 67%. Year 1. All of these guys I was talking about, so Jalen Hurts, 67%. Trevor Lawrence, almost 67%. And now Brock Purdy, 67%. All just as good, if not better, than Patrick Mahomes. Yards in the air, 1,374, so we want to see that go up. But again, we're talking about 9 games. We're not even talking about a full roster or a full schedule of games. Passing touchdowns, 13 in the 9 games he had. He had 13 passing touchdowns. What more do you want from this guy? He also had a rushing touchdown. Yeah, if you want to see confidence in a guy, let's see what he can do on his legs, and he showed it. He got a rushing touchdown. He had some yards too. Only 4 interceptions, worth noting too. So we want to see that continue to get better. I think he will. I think he will. So let's talk about points. When he started from week, let's say 14 to 18, he averaged about 18.3 points. Okay, so not as good as Trevor Lawrence, not as good as Jalen Hurts or these other guys, but averaging 18.3 at the end of the season when he was just thrown into the game. He made magic happen. I'm excited to see him. He's now poised. He's going to take over at the QB spot. Everyone's projecting and whatnot. He's going to be the QB. He's going to be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers this year. Pending injury, I think he'll be good to go. But he's on a high-powered 49ers offense. It's going to happen. He's going to look good doing it, all right? I don't have a Mahomes comparison for Brock Purdy. There's just not enough information for me to do that. But take a shot on this guy. Take a shot on a 15th round quarterback with a chance to give your league huge upside, especially keeper leagues. Take a look at this guy. If you can get him in a late round, he has the potential to turn your team around this year and next year and years to come. So yeah, with him having a chance to be a league winner and being so late in the round, you have the ability in early rounds to focus on your running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. So why not? Let's see. So kind of overall, he's 23. He has all offseason now to prepare for a full year, a full slate. I think the team's going to kind of rally to him. It's looking good based on training camp. I'm excited. There's lots of expectations for this guy, though. So that's one thing to consider. There's going to be a lot of pressure this year. After kind of the great into the year he had, there's going to be a lot of expectations, and a lot of people are hoping and expecting to see this guy fly. I think he will, but there's a lot of pressure there. So can he take the next big step? Well, it's yet to be determined, but if so, this is a huge value. This is huge value if you can get him this late. I think he has the opportunity. But that's it. That's my three. Okay, those are the ones that if you want a quarterback early, you got Jalen Hurts. If you want a quarterback kind of middle of the draft, you got Trevor Lawrence. And if you want to wait on quarterback, which is fine doing, if you want to do a no QB kind of run, I think Brock Purdy is worth taking a look at. And honorable mention, by the way, I think Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is in a similar boat to Brock Purdy. Obviously, he has more to prove. He hasn't played as much. But I love him for the same reasons I like Brock Purdy, all right? He seems confident. He's smart with the football. He's great at passing based on what I've seen. And he has all the potential in the world based on the team he's on with the Packers. It's a well-run organization. I think we can see a lot out of Jordan Love. I think he's also a steal, just like Brock Purdy, okay? So that's it, guys. I appreciate you checking out the video. Please like and subscribe. And if you disagree with my rankings, or if you disagree with any of the values or have other suggestions on who we should take a look at, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to take a look, and I'll definitely respond to you guys. But again, I appreciate you guys all being here. And until next time, we'll see you later. See you guys.